Welcome to Toffee TV. We are here to discuss the general meeting last night, Baz, which is it's caused a few ripples, a few ripples, especially if you've managed to listen to the Radio Merseyside phone in. Make sure you catch that. We've just been having a little listen to it. It was amazing, to say the least. Jeff was on, I think. There's a few Jeffs from West Derby. It's led to the possibility of legal action from Romelu Lukaku, which we'll come on to. Amazing. And we did a video last night about it, the Everton News Daily, and it was, just all the normal stuff. And I thought that's it. They spoke about the stadium, they spoke about this, and then I thought it's finished. The next minute, it's like, what? He said what?
Bonkers. It was good that it was so frank.
Well, just before we get into the details of it, how do you feel about the tone that Moshiri come across? Because I've heard a few people say he shouldn't be talking like that in a shareholders meeting. It's not a business thing. He was talking more like it was sort of like in a fan event.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because obviously you're addressing people who essentially own part of the club the way that he does. However, the press are there. Why weren't we there?
And because we were making videos.
Okay.
We've got jobs.
I've seen other things going on.
Yeah, but we actually do something.
Yeah. Now the press were there, weren't they? So obviously they're going to report everything that's said. I don't know whether he just got carried away with it.
I think he did.
I think he's just relaxed, got carried away, said a few things, and he's probably today thinking,
I don't think he is.
Mate, you don't think he's bothered?
No, I don't think he's bothered.
Well, if he's not bothered, then it doesn't matter.
No, but I mean, one thing I took from it, and I was saying this, I was on the radio this morning, and I was asked the same question, and my take on it was, the reason he said those things is because he doesn't get an opportunity to say those things. In fact, I think and maybe he will start to do that, just because a few things were interested in me last night, like the things like the question from the floor about Luke Garbutt, right? I know, it's mad because
someone actually
asked the question that a journalist should have asked the first press conference in January.
Yeah.
Because and whether you think that's a relevant question or not,
well, it is.
That's a question that fans ask every day on Twitter, right? They ask a question, and someone asked it on the floor because they feel it's relevant, because they got an opportunity.
Well, it is relevant.
Well, it is relevant. So it's the same with Moshiri last night. He got asked questions that he doesn't normally get asked, because people, for some reason in the press or at the club, don't ask the questions that fans actually want to hear. And he probably thought last night, all the business side of it had gone. It was a bit of a Q. He probably thought, well, it's a bit of a Q&A now. Those shareholders that you spoke about are all Everton fans. You wouldn't have shares in, you can have a lot of shares in Everton, not be a fan, but you wouldn't have a couple of shares or one share if you weren't a fan. There's nothing in it for you. You've just literally thrown away your money to be at that meeting.
I reckon, listening to Radio Merseyside though, I reckon some people will try to infiltrate it in the future.
Although
spend more time looking at us than their own club.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I just think he got asked questions and answered them, and almost wanted somewhere to get these questions out. We've been there. We've sat with Martinez and asked them questions, and you get the feeling that he's never asked those questions before. I remember being in a press conference at the beginning of Martinez's second season, and it was a friendly game, and all the journalists are asking him about, like, who's fit, who's not fit, are they back? And I stood up and said, are you going to play three at the back this season? And he gave me an answer, but no one else, because that doesn't, the journalists don't ask questions like that. They ask day-to-day questions, and I just think he got, so that maybe what that suggests to me is, maybe if that's not the time and place, then maybe Everton should create a time and a place where people can ask questions to Moshiri.
Maybe. I mean, I watched this interview that he done with the club. He done 10 minutes on the website, which I thought was very good. Thought he come across really well on it, actually. It was just, a bit. You know, it is weird the way he talks.
He's very open, isn't he?
He's open and just says anything. But I thought he'd done that really well, and I think maybe just by the Jim White question that he took from the floor, I think maybe there will be kind of now a little bit of a crosser.
Give him a bit of give him his own show.
No, yeah. We can do one on Farad if you're watching. You can have a Toffee TV one every month. But I think there'll be a crossover towards doing a bit more on the Everton website. But you know what? I heard them saying, "Oh well, whatever," and that won't be happening again. But I think it should still happen, because I think Jim White will still ask questions that other journalists won't happen. I'm not saying everything. You should do everything through it. Certainly not through freaking notes on an iPhone. But I've got no issue with them explaining stuff to Jim White, but he should be doing it for us.
But you're right there, because what happens is, and again I'll go back to the journalists, or even the Everton journalists, they don't ask questions that they feel their boss would be uncomfortable with. Do you know what I mean? Like, Mashiri there sat there and answered questions. He knows the press are there. He knows there's a camera on him. He knew there was a camera on him when he was doing the Everton thing, because he was, and yet he's prepared to, and that's what he answered the questions. And I always feel like when someone at Everton are not going to ask, if you work for Everton, they're not going to ask a tough question because they know the person might be uncomfortable answering it. But that's not the point. The point is a journalist's job should always be to ask questions that they feel the fans want answering. Because at the end of the day, who's that question for? It's for someone watching at home or reading the newspaper or listening on the radio who's a fan of that club. I remember ages ago, Kenny Dalglish kicked off on a reporter because the question was like, and the question was basically like, why didn't you play him or whatever? And he was like, well, why should I tell you? And he's like, well, you're not telling him. You're telling the fans at home why you didn't do that particular thing, or you did do that particular thing. And I just thought he was very candid, and I would like to see more of that. And maybe that meeting isn't the place if you want to go all businessy, but that they open it up to the floor, and I'm delighted, because in the past I've been at the and I've seen other ones where questions have been open to the floor, and the chairman has turned around and said, "I'm not answering that question."
Of course,
I'm not answering that question.
We know it's well documented that in the past Everton haven't wanted to answer questions and then shut the whole thing down. It just didn't happen. So it's, to me, Farad Mashiri's come back. So too of the general meetings, by the way. I know they've done it.
They did it before.
But certainly last year he was quite open in what he said, and that was when he gave us that we don't want to be a museum. You know, he spoke over Bill when Bill was like, "We're great at what we do," and we are. Bill Kenwright's great at all that. You can't. Anyone who says he isn't good at that is just doing the all to spite you. You know, I'm just going to say nothing good about him because I don't like him. Bill Kenwright is great at building Everton up and selling a picture. It's not what we need all the time, but he's good at that. But Farad Mashiri, I think, is a bit more down the line. I think he will just go, that's good, that's not so good. He said himself with certain things, you know, I was disappointed. I've put my hand in my pocket, spent this money, and look where we were. I was disappointed, and something had to happen. Well, we didn't go, we agonised over whether to. He went, wasn't good enough, there was no shape, we had to make a decision.
And he also referred to
and he said about David Unsworth that he said, you know, it was a big risk to put him in charge of the team. You know, in other words, we tried it and it didn't work, so we went and got someone who it did work.
And he said as well, he wanted to finish sixth, because as far as he actually said, he backed me up. He said we have no pre-season. He said our pre-season was just a mess. He said we went to that game in Africa, and it was just, no, I know, but he was what I mean is, though, people don't like to say mistakes have been made because they're ultimately in charge.
But at the end of the day, you only really learn from mistakes. That's what it's about. It's okay to go, got that wrong. I've made loads of them. We both have made loads of mistakes. We made mistakes doing this with certain things. We've made
left the mic off loads of times.
Even things, the way you approach things or the way you do, you make mistakes all the time. But if you don't learn from them, that's the thing.
Isn't that been Everton's biggest problem in the past? That when they've made mistakes, they just buried their heads in the sand. Whereas last night he was like, I wish we'd finished sixth, because then we wouldn't have had to qualify for the Europa League. And then you've got Allardyce saying a bit later, and not having a go at Allardyce.
He didn't say it was.
But
everyone. See, that's what I'm talking about. The same when I mentioned Bill Kenwright. Bill Kenwright is what Bill Kenwright is. He's great at selling Everton or talking about Everton. Other stuff he's not great at, and that's been proven with different things. Sam Allardyce, the people jumping on him are the people that don't want him there. You know, I've seen people can't wait to get this season over and we can get a new man, this mythical manager who's going to come in with Barcelona next season. But what he said was, and I know exactly what he meant, the pressure was cranked up. He probably worded it wrong. A victim of their own success.
He was being too like.
I think
respectful.
What he was trying to say was, you know, they finished well. They were well placed. Everyone thought they'd kick on, and they went the other way, and they made themselves look a bit.
He said a victim of his own success. I just think he was being nice, but that's what I'm saying. Mashiri's the man at the top, and he can say around and go, I'm the man at the top. It comes back to me. I mean, you got that in when he said about sacking Koeman. He said it was a mess. We had no shape.
He said about the jigsaw, didn't he?
Yeah.
So we had the jigsaw without the final piece in, which was a front man, and that was why we struggled. So,
what did you think about him talking about like football in general? Because again, spoke to someone today who's not an Evertonian, and they were like, "Don't you find that a bit like cringy that he's talking about the team and saying things when he doesn't look like he's got a clue about how it all works?" And I was like, well, it's his play toy, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's his model railway. If he wants to talk about how Everton play and when he's from like the Fab Four and all that, people will take the piss. But at the end of the day, you know.
But what do people want from these people who get involved? Do they want them just to go, there's the money, I won't say a word, I've got no opinion on it, take all my money, make yourself good, and I'll stay over here out the way? But what a load of nonsense that is. That's like saying you can't have an opinion on anything you get involved in. It's that to me is utterly pathetic. That's like saying the same shite when people say things like, you know, you hear people on the radio, and you know, when you played the game, you know what to, no, fuck off. When you played the game, and you've watched 5,000 fucking games like we have, we know more than what footballers do.
But what he said ultimately there is, I seen it wasn't going right, so I seen that we didn't have the right man in charge, so I went and got the man in charge. And what he said about Allardyce was, you know, he said, you know, he read his book, he'd met him a couple of times, he felt he was the man, he was direct, he simplified things, and he obviously felt like Koeman had overcomplicated things.
But doesn't, listen, because he might not articulate himself in a way that people go, oh, he's really knowledgeable about football, but this is not a stupid man. So, you know loads about films and stuff, but a film director probably look and go, yeah, you're just a fan over it. You've still got an opinion on how stuff's made, or you might have an opinion on the government, or you might have an opinion on different things. Now, are you less qualified than a politician to have those opinions? No, you're not, because that's what I'm
certainly
saying.
Not.
You've got your own opinion because you see with your eyes, and you've got the thing. Farhad Moshiri being at Arsenal, he's watched football. He went and watched Monaco against fucking Besiktas.
Yeah, he's seen.
Because he lived, then he's seen.
What I loved about that is
he basically said, "I told him."
No, but what he said was, he went, "I seen Tosin play." He said he might have just been good that day.
I don't know what he said. Then he kind of went and then told to the staff. Probably went, "You can't find a striker. I just went to match last night. There's one there. He's brilliant." But he was saying. So he goes and watches football.
Yeah.
So just because he mightn't articulate it, like, you know, or people mightn't expect that, doesn't mean he doesn't understand what football's about.
The main thing is that it comes across that he's got an opinion, and he knows what he wants, but he wants the right people in charge to put that vision. So he's not one of these who's going to walk in at half time and go, "What the fuck's going on?" You know, he's not like that.
Smith. He's not going to have the mic.
He just seems to have an opinion.
Hello, Jim.
But I think it's good that he's got a.
That wasn't him either, by the way, when he called Jim.
Jim, hello, this is Moshiri. It was definitely Bain Moshiri, that, mate. It's good that he's got like a loose, I'll say loose, but you know, an idea of what's going on, just so that he can see it himself and go, we need to sack this fella because this is shite. You know. And what I liked about what he said was it was uncomplicated and it made sense. He said we bought all these players, we had a mess, and what he did, he ticked them all off. He said, you know, bad start, injuries, new players, but it wasn't being handled the right way. And you get the idea, if it had been handled the right way, he would have put up with losing. But he obviously felt that we were losing games because of how it was being handled as well.
If we'd been going the match and Everton had been looking like they were making progress, looking like they were getting somewhere, but the results just weren't coming, you'd go, it's because of these players. Once this clicks, we'll be fine. We could see there was no plan from Koeman. That his reign at Everton is mad. It's mad when you think about it, because he came in with, this is what I'm gonna do, and he did it for 70 minutes of his first game and never again. Then he was ruthless with his subs early on. You were like, this fella doesn't fuck about. God, takes you off after half an hour if you're not performing. That stopped. Then we had 3 months of the season before Christmas where I don't know what we were, but you try to give him that benefit of the doubt. You go, no, we'll get it, he's alright, he's only just come in, give him a chance. And then we started winning home games, and we just got on a roll, and we were great at home, and Lukaku was scoring and everything was great. Away from home we were still horrendous. And we got to the end of the season, you were like, now, you know, he's talked about this window and this is the thing. And then he's bought plays early and we're all excited because we're thinking, we'll just roll on. Yeah, we've lost Ron, but if we can get someone in, we'll keep rolling on. And it started the next season like it was day one for him. And he didn't know any player. And that, I think, it was just a mess. And it's good that Mashiri could recognise it was a mess. It wasn't one of them where you're going, this is a bad patch, but he's a good manager and it'll get sorted. It wasn't that. It was a holy mess.
And he'd have to see that for himself, because he's not like sitting in Monaco seeing the results. He's obviously seeing it for himself. But and obviously he said that while he's about, there'll always be money.
There's no money problem.
No money problem as well. I mean, make sure you're there then, fella. And obviously he moved on to talk about, or he obviously asked about the likes of Lukaku and Barkley. Now the Lukaku situation, it'll be interesting to see where this goes, because again this is, I think, annoyed people because they feel embarrassed by reading stuff, and they feel a little bit embarrassed by what was said, because it just seems so outlandish. It wasn't the time or the place, or really there is no time or a place to say this. But basically he said Lukaku walked in with his agent ready to sign, and then said he got a phone call off his mum saying that she was in Africa, she'd seen a voodoo priest or whatever, and he'd said sign for Chelsea, and that was it. Now Lukaku's saying that he's Catholic and his mum wouldn't go and see a voodoo. So it sounds like a mad story to make up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know where this is going. I'm not making any judgments on it. Do you think it was the right place to tell a story like that? You might have just gone a little bit too far.
He's probably gone a touch too far.
Caught up
but
in it.
We know that day the fanfare was at Finch Farm. It was a Tuesday, I can remember the freaking day. It was a Tuesday. Everyone was, the press were there. Everybody was there. He was coming in to sign his contract. It being agreed. It was done. And then the next minute he walked out the room. He knew that, and he came back in and said he wasn't signing. Right, so his agent was in the room. He didn't go out with his agent. This is what we know.
Yeah.
So between him leaving the room and then coming back in, something happened now.
And he says he always listens to his mum.
He does listen to his mum, but Ron was never thinking that though. He's never ever deviated from that, even when he was here. His mum told him to sign for Everton and stay at Everton and all that. And it was his dad who was saying, go to Man. His mum, he does listen to his mum. Yeah. So that's the way it is. I think the reason why it's come out is he's just explaining to the fans what actually went on.
Well, he did say as well, and I don't know whether he said this before he said that, but he said, I spent 2 summers chasing Lukaku, basically trying to get him. And he said, because he said it wasn't a money decision, it was an emotional decision. He spent 2 summers trying to, he said in the end it was pointless. So
I thought he said he wasted more time on Ross than he did on Ron.
Well, he might have wasted more time on. Well, there's another story about Ross.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? He wanted Ron to commit a game, didn't he? He wanted to make him. They offered him. He said the money we offered him was unbelievable for Everton. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, listen, you had the agents on saying that Christmas, wasn't it, giving us things,
99.
we're about to sign and all that, and we'll have a look at it, and the club's going the right direction, and blah 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 blah. The contract was agreed. The contract was agreed. It was set there, ready for him to sign, and he walked out the room and didn't sign.
For all we know, the agents come in and gone, "Oh, he hasn't signed because of this," and maybe that was the story he told them, but maybe it was something else.
I don't know.
Maybe that was just a pack. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if Raiola told him something like that. It just wouldn't surprise me.
Listen, I don't know. All I know is that he was there and the pen was almost in hand, and he got up and went out. When he come back in, he said, "I'm not signing." So, and then he went and done He went and done an interview about something else, and then he told the press, and that's what pissed him off.
He did something for kicking out, didn't he? And then revealed it during the kicking out interview. And then obviously he got asked about Ross as well. And again, they mentioned Ross, and he said they couldn't find Ross's agent for 6 months. Every time they sat down to speak about a contract, they couldn't find the agent, and then the next minute the agent pops up. And then he said, what was it? He said he'd only sign a contract if they let John Stones go.
That was the last one, wasn't it, or something? I don't know.
Basically, and then
that's what he did say.
Basically, he said, and then what he basically said was, he said football. He said this.
Well, his agent owns John Stones.
Yeah, they're the same one, aren't they? And Rodwell's as well. Isn't that weird?
And Lescott.
Yeah, isn't that strange? And he basically said at the end, he went, "This is what I think it was all a bit to paint a picture and say, this is what we're dealing with." He said agents get into players' heads and basically become their parents.
This is what I've said about Ross, right? And people go, he's his own fucking man and blah. And he is, and that's right. He is his own man, but they are influenced so much by this person that is telling them, just concentrate on going training, I'm sorting it out, going training, I'm sorting it out, in their head, bum, 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 bum. And once the fracture's there, and the fracture was there between Ross and Ronald Koeman. Ronald Koeman basically created the fracture with Everton Football Club and Ross Barkley. And then you've got that agent then who can't wait. It's not in an agent's interest to keep a player at a football club. It's not. Regardless of what they say, it isn't.
For many reasons.
So, well, it's relevance, it's boot deals, it's commercial, it's money in his pocket when he get. I mean, look what's come out. The agents received a £7 million payoff.
It doesn't sound dodgy at all.
So, maybe Dr. Phillips needs to investigate.
Well, Big Joe's on the case.
Well,
Big Joe is on. Sure. Big Joe investigates. Go get him. Him and Dom Littlewood.
I wouldn't be doing them. I'd just be getting a handful of Liverpool fans.
Just break everything,
you nearly smashed.
Well, I nearly took the telly in.
I'd get a handful of Reds off Twitter because they can find anything. Yeah. But so I think what Mashiri was trying to do was say, look, and listen, it's going on now with agents.
Is it?
This is what happens in football. You see a story in a paper, Everton's signing him. Might sign in the next 24 hours. Yeah. Fucking agents. And the problem is, some clubs will go, have whatever you want then. And that they'll get it done quickly. It's a domino effect, isn't it?
Listen,
it's hard.
But it was interesting that what he said, this is what we deal with. They're like kids. He said, they're always at that, they're in their ear, and that's it. So that was really interesting. He just put it over that they did everything. He said Everton offered them more money than Chelsea did.
Better terms than Chelsea.
So that shows that, well, from their point of view, they were saying that they went after him. But that was interesting. It was obviously, as we mentioned, Allardyce was there as well. He said first time he'd done one and seemed quite candid about it. And
I think Sam is though. I think the thing what you get with him is he's very straight, isn't he? I don't think there's no bells and whistles with him. He's just quite straight, and will just say it as he sees it, really, and
like his own catchphrase.
Say what you see.
Yeah. No. And
Steve Walsh spoke.
Steve Walsh spoke as well, and they were just a little bit. They were open about what they were not. No, it wasn't really any tough questions. There wasn't. Like, no one went, Steve, what do you do? Which would have been interesting.
We tried to sign strikers. Believe me, we tried. Players like Janssen. Why were you trying to get?
You're mad.
Why were you trying to get a player from Spurs who scored one goal in 7,000 games? When you had 4 months to sign a fucking striker, so that didn't fill me with confidence.
No,
I could name 10 strikers they could have gone and got if they'd have bothered early on. Do you know what I mean? So that didn't really inspire me, Steve.
Maybe that was just a name he remembered at the top of his head. I'm going to use a striker.
Well, hang on, he should know everything, shouldn't he? He should know every striker. No, well, you know, that was the most underwhelming point quote that I'd seen, was that.
I think that's all been lost in the noise.
Well, yeah.
Well, maybe someone should have asked them a decent question, or maybe they didn't get the opportunity.
Someone says about strikers, I think have they got the scope to push them on it? Because as I said, why are you after him? Why aren't you after Bakambu?
The mic's taken away.
Abubakar, or, you know, players who are actually good.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Anyway,
you know, you can't talk about everything, can you? You can't.
No. Just but the fact that you addressed that, yeah, that was that. I was just saying that to me was the most underwhelming bit.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the state. We'll leave the stadium to last. Denise Barrett Baxendale got up. I thought she was really good. Though. I mean, at first she sounded like she was talking at someone's funeral. Just the way she addressed the crowd. Elston had already been up and he'd give all the facts and figures and all that kind of thing, and it's all part of the course. She's just breaking down what's in the. But I thought she was really interesting. I thought the way she spoke, how passionate she was, and how she spoke about the buildings and getting the free school and going to Joe Anderson, and you know, and the free school and the hub and the new centre at the back, and taking those 3 buildings, and there's going to be now a property for 23 homeless people to live in, which to make this. And then she moved on to the ground and basically said we're never leaving Goodison Park, and she said we're building 3 tower blocks, one will face Anfield, one will be Goodison, one will be Bramley Moor Dock, which I thought was good. Just said this is going to be here for Everton, going to be here forever. And I just thought it was brilliant. I just thought the way she spoke about how passionate she was really good, because sometimes I'm not saying there's a coldness that comes off like Elston. He does his job and he's professional, but you could tell she runs the community side of things. You could see that. I just thought that was really good, and showed the other side of Everton. And when she talked about having more Everton community things than like Tesco Metro, I thought that was brilliant as well. You know, just getting into those things are ignored, or those things don't always matter. But when she spoke about them, when you see things in bricks and mortar as well, and when you go to the game and you see those places, sometimes you go in and, I mean, go in the hub for a cup of coffee or whatever. It's great. It's worth it just to have a sit down. And so I thought that was really good. And when she said about the live buildings, a bit cringy, you know, but again, really interesting. You know, by December we're going to be in the live buildings. They're going to be our main offices. We're going to be in the heart of the city. The city's going all ours and all that.
That was a soundbite.
But I thought that was really good as well. I just thought telling people where we're going, what we're doing, you know, away from all the talk was about the stadium. But I think little things like that, just Michele said it about the sponsorships. He talked about Angry Birds and all these things, that there's more to come. Those are the little things that you just think, these might actually have a clue what they're doing. It's just not going as fast as
the infrastructure is there, and this is what makes me laugh when you say clowns running the club and all. It's why I just come off Twitter for a while, because I just think some people, it's just hyperbole everything, and they haven't got they don't know how to just be calm about a situation. It'll never be quick enough for us, because we're not Manchester City. And we're not winning things, and we haven't got world-class players. So ultimately, that's what you judge your team by, your club by, is how good it is on the pitch. But if you look away from the pitch and you see the community work, you see the hub, you see the Cruyff pitch and all that area, which was nothing there really.
Big piece of grass.
Fantastic now. You know, when you look at it, it's represented there. The thing about Goodison, never leaving Goodison, the plans for a community, a civic, you know, spot so people can always go back there and go, this was good, you know. This
not even that, things like, but if they've got ashes there and stuff,
everything's there. That's what I'm saying. So you can go back to that place where we've all loved and spent so many hours of our lives there, you know, everything around it, as well as then the benefit to the community, to the homeless, to talking about maybe having educational stuff there, health stuff. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, she even spoke saying that when they got the new centre that's getting built now, where St Francis used to be, they found 2 people like asleep on the doorstep and one in a tree, and she's like, we've got to look after these people, you know. We're actually sort of evicting them from their home, even though obviously it's not a home. So we've got to look after these people.
Sleeping in a tree.
He was sleeping in a tree, this fella, apparently. So there was cover. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I've watched the match from a train in Stanley Park. I know, yeah. I don't know you'd be that flexible, but she was like, we've got to look after these people. I just thought that was brilliant. I really did. It's got lost in all the noise of everything else, but I just thought that side of things, that's real. Because I've been to the AGMs, listen, and they do give you that sort of montage of everything they've done, and you do sort of roll your eyes going, you're taking credit for something you haven't done. But she was on stage, and as the person who is in charge of it, I just thought that was brilliant. I just thought there's all talk about we're going or we're trying to go, and you don't often think about what you're leaving behind, or what it's going to mean to Dave and the Winslow, and what it's going to mean to all those shops on County Road. But what she's saying is we're doing the best we can. We're leaving a school, we're leaving a community hub, we're leaving a place for a centre that will be for like people with disabilities and vulnerable people that maybe might turn into something else once we've gone. Those things will be there in the community, and somewhere for people can live, whether it be homeless or place, and as you just said, a place where a bit of green space for people to go and have a sense of community or whatever. I just thought, whatever else happens, at least someone at the club has got a sense of what the real world.
It's a big thing. They could have just gone, listen, we can get 5 million for this piece of land, and that can go towards something else, which is a business thing. No one would have really. You couldn't really begrudge them doing that, because in this day and age, everything's money, isn't it? And I know 5 million in a project, 500 million isn't much, but it's pays something, doesn't it? So it's great that they are leaving a legacy there, and one that'll benefit the community more than anything else, and that's the key. That's the key element of the whole thing. And listen, we've seen other football clubs who run their area down to get benefits from it or whatever. It's great that we are so forward thinking in what we're doing.
And if you go to somewhere like Highbury, what they've done,
Arsenal have done. No, but what I'm saying is, it's Highbury's there, but you've got the residential.
Yeah, you can't get in. No, that's what I'm saying. There's like security guards. It looks great. Don't get me wrong, it looks great because it's the stadium, but you can't get in. There's a big security guard stopping you. So at least there's that. So I thought that was brilliant. But I mean, obviously onto the stadium, there was no pictures, which people thought there might have been last night. Which was a bit disappointing, just to see.
I think it's bizarre.
I just thought there might have been something, just like outline details of it. Because whether you like it or not, that will start alarm bells ringing in people's heads. That a stadium that we've had, Dan Mice on for the best part of 18 months can't produce one.
12 months.
Alright, well, can't produce one
artist.
Yeah, exactly.
So why
can't produce one artistic picture, which just isn't an outline drawing of what it might look. Because that picture they showed of what Goodison, she was like, no one's seen this, and it's only really an artistic sketch of what it will be. But they showed it. So I don't know whether are they trying to temper expectations?
I don't know whether it's. He's obviously done them. Hasn't he? Of course he's done them. He's an architect. He'll have designed.
His job,
right? But I don't know, because our fans. He done a presentation, and Robert Elstone used a thing, and there was made better not be like that, but half damn mice bowls and fucking blah, and all the shite that some people spout,
and a ground with no end in it.
Ground with no end, and then there was the Balassi shots.
I don't know how windy it'd be.
I just think it's disappointing, because I was hoping this would be the day that they went, look, these are just very early sketchy kind of things, but this is a rough outline of what the area will look like. This isn't what there's. But I suppose the minute you put a stadium in there, people will take that as read. And if you haven't, you know what? Maybe they haven't actually.
Do you think they're wary of an image getting out and being the thing that sort of? Because there was an image of Kirby, there was an image of the King's Dock, and maybe they just don't. They just want to temper expectation, because listen, the goalposts have moved substantially in the last, it's going to cost more money, and the figure they've got now probably isn't going to be the figure.
No,
because this is literally the worst time to build a stadium, because maybe 5, 8, 10 years ago It was a bad time. I know when Liverpool tried to build theirs, the price of steel went rocketed because of everything that was going on. So that was a bad time. But the problem with now is, because no one actually knows what's going on, everything's fluctuating. It's not like you can't go...
Might be the best time to build one.
But that's the problem.
But we wouldn't know.
Nobody knows, so prices are fluctuating everywhere. That's the problem at the moment. The problem... What the market's like is stability. So fellas can go, I'll sell you that, I'll buy you this. But when they don't know, that causes problems, and that makes prices go up. So
Spurs have done it, haven't they? They thought theirs was 400 million and
800 now,
800, and someone said by the time it's done it'll probably be $1 billion.
So there you go. So you've got that. So the price has gone up, basically, which is a problem, because I'm not saying they were struggling for the money before, but if you've basically said, we're going to get this amount of money, sound, nice one, and then someone goes, well, actually you need 150 million. Do you know what I mean? Imagine anyone, you've got the money ready to go, and someone says to you, no, actually it's going to cost you a little bit more. If you've worked hard to put a deal together. So they were going to get money, a loan of money, with the council being guarantors. That's changed now. The council are going to give them the money, right? And this is where all the confusion comes from, because it was reported that 2/3 of the money will be coming from Liverpool City Council. So some people, and some people in the press, took it as the council are going to take this money that they use for like libraries and stuff, and
health,
your bins and all the rest of it, and just going to go, here, Everton, have that, don't worry about it, we won't have bins for ages, we don't, get rid of your purple bins. And it's going to cost the taxpayer and all this, right? It's not. They're going to take a loan out. It's going to be a capped loan of around £280 million. They are legally allowed to take that money and use it in a project that will help the city, because the ground will kickstart. Apparently, when they were speaking about the area, they thought it would take about 10 years to stimulate the area. But with Everton's building the ground, they reckon it's going to take, like that.
Well, he thought it was, but what he said was to do what they're doing, to achieve what they're doing, it would have took 30 years.
Yes.
Joe Anderson said. But because of the stadium, it's spread everything. You're right, it's going to be
it's the catalyst, basically. So they'll get the money, we'll pay it back, and the council for doing that will get 7 million. It was going to be 4 million, now it's 7 million, because effectively what they've done is they've cut out the middleman, so Everton will probably pay less interest, and with that paying less,
wasn't it going to be, isn't it like, what was it, parked in some,
they were going to set up a new company,
but
right?
What was it, what's the term for
I don't know,
something like a struck or some
that's struck, we'll call that struck.
Struck.
They were going to set up a new company. They were the loan was going to come, the council was going to be the guarantors, the money was going to be poured into this new company. Everton going to take it out the company. But now what's happening is the council, because they can, will go and borrow the money. They will give that money to Everton. Everything will all be, it won't be like, lad, pay us when you sort it. It'll all be signed, guarantors, council will have all kinds, like basically, it'll all be guaranteed, insured, everything. Everton will pay it back, and will pay 7 million to the council a year. That's probably less than the interest was going to be, so they can give them more money, and the council...
Well, it is less. That's why it's getting done.
Exactly. So...
But the council are going to make 7 million.
So the council are going to make 7 million, and I've seen... We've listened to Radio Phils before, people moaning, you see it on Twitter. I've even had arguments with some of my own family members about this, because people feel like it's going to come out of our pockets and not go into areas that need it. But theoretically, what will happen or should happen is the council will make £7 million a year on this, and that then can be spent on services that we don't get money for. And I listened to the interview with Joe Anderson before, and it was like, well, why aren't you getting a loan out to pay this? And he was like, well, hang on, number one, I'm not allowed to, and number two, then I have to pay that money back. So he said, I got a loan for 80 million to fix the potholes. He said, we've got to pay that 80 million back. He said, this money, Everton are paying it back, plus they're giving us 7 million quid that we can go and spend on services. So They are making £7 million a year for 25 years. 25 years. And this is what councils have to do now. They have to be clever. I know when the shit hit the fan, 10 years ago, loads of it invested in Iceland because the rates were fantastic. Not where your mum goes. Yeah. And when that went hit, because their interest rates were fantastic and people were making loads of money out of it, because that's what councils have to do. I mean, they own Finch Farm, Liverpool City Council. We rent it off them and they make money off it all the time. They buy buildings in town and then rent them out, and this is what they've got to do to make money. So that's basically the way it is. I mean, the money situation is slightly worrying. I think that's the worry for me. The amount it's going to cost and keeping up with that, I think that's a bit of a worry.
Yeah, but they must be confident of being able to do it, mustn't they? Because I don't think they'd take it on. I really don't. I honestly don't think they'd take it on. If they didn't think it was doable, why would you start something you can't pay for? It just wouldn't happen. So they must be, for it to be this far down the line, that money's all guaranteed. And yeah, it will go up a bit, but they must be confident they can pull it in from other places.
Well, yeah, it's up to Everton now to find that third part. I mean, 2/3 of it. No, I know, but what I'm saying is 2/3. What they're saying is 2/3 of it.
Chinese bank, probably.
Well, if you've got access to it, they're saying 2/3 of it will come from that, and another third. Now, maybe the other third would get 25 years naming rights or something, which would make sense. Wouldn't it? If you're paying, a lot of money,
200 million, isn't it?
Yeah,
220 million.
Yeah, or even between 150 and maybe they're gonna have to find that. So maybe they'll get naming rights for 50 years, whatever. But because they've said obviously the challenges are you've got to prepare the site, then you've got to obviously create the stadium, which is. But they feel like the commercial.
You just wonder how much it costs to redevelop Goodison, don't you?
You do, but at the same time,
it hasn't got the commercial. It's not
going to have the opportunities, is it? So when you, like anything, when you borrow that money, the people you borrow are going to look and go, well, what can you do with that? What can you create? What can you, because obviously what will have to happen is the club will have to sit down and go, well, this is how much money it's going to make, cost, and this is how much money it's going to make. You think about a stadium on the dock. It gets built. The summer after it gets built, you're going to have probably 3 massive concerts in the summer. Whatever artists are down, you're going to have 3 massive outdoor gigs. It can be used for multiple things. Yeah. And that's where the real money comes from.
Iconic, isn't it? As well, and it's in that. It's going to attract people, and you can have hotels on the site. Yeah. Whereas with Goodison, it's locked, isn't it?
Exactly.
There's not much.
At the end of the day, look at Anfield. Anfield's a stadium, but how often does Anfield have like a gig or something? Very, very rare. Do you know what I mean? But Tony Bellew fought to Goodison on like a one-off, but you can have events like that all the time. You think of the stadiums in this country that have like big things going on. There's not too many of them because of a lot of the time because of just where they're situated. Yeah. So if you've got a stadium on a waterfront surrounded by hotels and good access to it as well, don't forget that the access to it, then it's going to attract. And I don't know, but imagine 2023, the summer, Paul McCartney plays his farewell gig at Goodison.
He's 83.
Playing at like an iconic stadium where. Like we've said loads of times, the helicopter comes down and it's you see the whole waterfront. That's what everyone wants, don't they? So I just think the opportunities are massive. We always thought that. It's just let's just hope we can push. I mean, the immediate thing now is that this has to be signed off. That loan has to be signed off, which I think he obviously thinks that he's confident of doing. But it's gonna stay some.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you need to come up with a compelling argument for something that isn't making, that is going to make you £7 million a year. You've got to come up with some argument to say this isn't good for us when that 7 million's not coming from anywhere else. Yeah. All that's going to happen while he's in power, our budgets get cut. I work for the public sector. Every year, our budget's cut. Every year, and there's not enough resources now. So if it keeps getting cut, which it will, there's not gonna be any resources.
And like we said, that stadium kickstarts that area. Joe Anderson has said this is about Liverpool, the city, not about Everton, because people keep on it, using the stick that he's an Evertonian to beat him with, and obviously he's been in the news this week because of the whole Ross Barkley thing, which doesn't help.
Can we also say that this is exactly the same deal that was offered to Liverpool, by the way, for Stanley Park? The exact same thing. The council offered to buy them 2/3 of their stadium with Hicks and Gillette. That was what Liverpool were doing with Hicks and Gillette. FSG were offered the same deal to build on Stanley Park before them plans went up. They were offered, the council were going to fund. It was a loan.
Even Anfield, go to Anfield, drive past Anfield and look at the area. It's all been knocked down. It's all getting rebuilt. It's all the roads are getting done. Who's paying for that? The council are paying for it to make the whole. Cause they went into partnership with Liverpool. You build the big stand. You get this land here. Build your new big superstore, new shop, and all that. We'll make the area nice and pretty for you because I'll be honest, they get shitload of visitors on non-match days. So make the area nice so people feel comfortable. Because we've heard this all before about people coming, is it worth going up to Goodison on a non-match day? I don't know. You go up there and everything just looks locked and shut, and the tours are mad. They don't really have, you know what I mean. Whereas Anfield, you go up there and it's buzzing, it's alive.
Family moral.
Well, I know, but I'm saying about Anfield is that you go up there and the first you drop someone off, the first impression lasts, because if it's all new houses and everything's getting done up and the shop's open because there's people living there and everything's nice, and people go, this is dead nice, Liverpool's ground. I feel comfortable walking around, that's why I feel comfortable spending money, and I don't mind going in that shop over the road because it looks nice and it's called something stupid like the Live a Bird News or something, or the pub's called the Shankly Hotel or something. Do you know what I mean? It's like it all plays its part in making. So the council have helped with that, because it was an absolute fucking shithole.
Yeah, they got 20 odd million, didn't they?
So if that's just for that infrastructure and the stand and all the rest of it, they've played their part. And what they do this is a much bigger project. Of course it is. If it comes off, it would be a hugely iconic football stadium, not in this country, but round the world. Dan Mice talks about it like it's his child. Like when you listen to him, it's like he can't wait to show everybody like what he's done.
Show us then.
I was going to say, which makes it. But I just think that what they're going to do is they're just going to wait till everything. And then
I wonder if they've cut the capacity due to spiralling costs.
But wouldn't he have to
change?
Wouldn't he have to? But wouldn't he have to sort of? Wouldn't those things have to go hand in hand?
But I think it'd be that. I think whatever he does will be adaptable.
Well, maybe.
That's what I think, and I think.
But wouldn't you?
I'm just saying, because there was talk.
Wouldn't he? But if you were, but then the actual look of the stadium wouldn't change, would it?
Just saying.
For 5,000 seats, the look of the stadium would...
because there was talk of 60,000, 60,000.
He said 55 last night.
But Bill said 55. Minimum. The Echo had said 50. So no, what I'm just saying, it just
yeah. No,
because of the costs.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think of 5,000 seats and everything else that goes with it. That's a good few million quid as well. So if you're looking at, I don't know. Yeah, I think it will be adaptable.
But from an artistic concept point of view,
you'd hope.
Well, look at the stadium, because he.
Well, why have they not shown anything?
I have no idea.
Because the plan was for them to show something.
I don't know. So. I don't know. It's whether they're just being wary, because obviously it's gone back a year as well. So whether they're just being careful to just keep expectations down and make, because you know what it's like, the minute you show someone a picture, it becomes real. Whereas at the moment it still feels like, because we're Evertonians, then it's like, but you don't know, do you? Michele might just go, listen, I'll get it sorted for you. Because he was like that, there will be a stadium. So if he's saying there will be a stadium, because he said the most important thing was we've got the land, so it's ours now. It's ours to do what we need to do with it. So if he's saying there will be a stadium, you get the feeling that if the cost goes up or something happens with the council, he will make it. He'll get in touch with Usmanov basically.
Yeah, Usmanov will just pay for it.
Do us a favour, lend some steel. But
no, he said, didn't he? He said on the thing it'll be exciting when the trowel goes in the ground and all that, you know, and the spade goes in the ground, so to speak, and you can actually see something when we start building. That's when the excitement is. But at the moment, it's still
find the Nazi goal
infrastructure. That'll help.
Yeah, find the Nazi goal. So you know, it went from being just a meeting with shareholders to look. We could have done about 4 videos on this, to be honest. Could have done loads on it, but
it's mad, isn't it? But I thought it was quite positive, and you know, that's all you can ask for, isn't it? It's you know, be even more positive if we finish the month strongly with, you know, a couple of additions and things like that, and we move forward. But no, it was an interesting night, and obviously getting to speak to him at the Everton TV, having the interview with them, and obviously there's a bit on Dan Mice done an interview as well, which were good. So
keep that going, keep the fans in the loop. Keep us in the loop. If he's going to do an interview, get him to do it on there. You know, that's all what fans want. And hopefully, going back to something we talked about before, hopefully if when they get in the live buildings and everyone's centralised, hopefully we might start getting that a bit more. Because I know that's what Liverpool are very good at. Liverpool have got offices in Liverpool in the city centre, and because they're centralised, they get all the interviews down there and stuff or whatever. So hopefully, if that happens and they are there, then maybe you will get more of these interviews with Michelle. If he's like, I'm not saying it'll be his office, because it wouldn't be, because he doesn't necessarily run the club. But then just that centralisation might mean you might get more and more interviews coming out from him, because that's all we want.
And I just think it gives a bigger impression that the club's bigger. I think if you for investors, whatever, players, you take them there to do whatever, however you do it, you go down to the live buildings, and that's what ideas are grandeur, because we all know that perception is a massive thing in anything. It's a big thing, but in football it's massive. And you know,
if you're signing, I'm not being funny, but if you get a player down there to sign a contract and you can see where the ground's going to be, that's a big thing. That's a big thing. Imagine
Liverpool City Centre.
Imagine the intro video, like the signing videos. They're all in Finch Farm. Imagine they're all down there. You know. Interesting stuff. I mean, the best thing is, you know, the badge will be on their shirt, and they're paying for our ground.
We own the badge.
We own the badge. They're paying for our stadium.
Heads are falling off. People are doing videos about who don't even know.
As you said before, if you want Everton news, you know where to go for it, don't you?
Just some. Only some.
Some will get on. Not our lads.
No, our lads aren't doing it.
No.
But it's all good.
No, it is all good. Let us know your thoughts anyway in the comments. Are you worried at all about the ground situation, how it's being paid for, or whether it will really happen? Share his comments. Is there a place for them to be that frank and open about why, or did you appreciate that? I thought it was great personally. I give a fuck, they don't play for us anymore, cheeky pricks. Or anything, the community stuff, which I personally thought was absolutely fantastic, and I am proud to support a football club that does that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed, please do. That's for all you Reds watching, because we know you will be. Click the bell for alerts, and if you want more videos and podcasts, join us on Patreon. We'll see you later.